Russia's advance into Ukraine slowed by almost half in September. This, according to the monitoring group Deep State. It says Russia now occupies some 19% of Ukrainian territory. Joining me now, as you see him there, Yuriy Boyechko, founder and CEO of Hope for Ukraine, a nonprofit offering food, shelter, and education to the many millions of Ukrainians affected by the war. Thanks so much, Yuriy, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
First, you know the need in Ukraine, not just for infrastructure rebuilding following Russia's ongoing assault, but for the many displaced people. It's been talked about for years, taking these Russian assets frozen in Europe to help pay for the reconstruction that Russia is responsible for. What's taken so long, in your view?
So, first of all, let's make it clear. Russia's not winning this war on the ground, but unfortunately they're winning a war of fear-mongering. And they've been very effective to use fear to control and manipulate Western leaders throughout these 3+ years. This decision that EU put forward right now is the right decision, but it's about 3 years late. And now the Russians trying to label this as a theft, which in fact this is loans that's going to be given to Ukraine, and Russian frozen assets that held in European banks will be used as collateral. And if Russians going to start paying back reparations to Ukraine, then Ukraine will pay back these loans. So it's straight and simple. So, but once again, Russians trying to beat Western leaders to the clock and try to intimidate them from putting forth this plan, because otherwise, if there's no money, Ukraine is going to lose the war, and once we have nothing to defend with, this full-scale war will trickle out and go into the NATO nations. That's plain and simple.
One could say another form of fear-mongering are these increased drone flights over Europe, including over airports in Europe. So far, there have been a lot of statements from European leaders, including statements going so far as to say they might shoot down Russian jets if they were to violate airspace again. But have you seen a tough enough response from Europe to these air incursions?
No. I mean, right now, European leaders and NATO countries need to close the sky over Ukraine, at least up to Kiev, western side of Ukraine. And this is for their own good, because in the end of the day, NATO nations not prepared to fight this new type of warfare. Because right now, let's be honest, there's only 2 countries in this world who knows how to fight the drone warfare that's going on in Ukraine right now. These 2 countries are Ukraine and Russia. We saw what happened in Poland when there was about 20 drones that entered the airspace, and about only 4 got shot. So right now, I think NATO have to step up their game and really learn from Ukrainians how to fight this new warfare. Otherwise, they're not going to be prepared if the scale of attacks going to increase, just like what we see right now in Ukraine. I mean, we're talking about 500, 600, 800 drones a night.
Yep. Drones
and missiles they launch on Ukraine. Imagine something like this heading to one of the European capitals. So this is really a moment of truth right now. And if NATO is not going to make some hard decision as far as funding and as far as also closing the sky over Ukraine, then they're going to face the consequences that they don't like.
I wonder, when you look at President Trump's comments last week, in which he said for the first time that he believes Ukraine might be able to win back all the territory taken by Russia, do you see a substantive change from the U.S. president now, or do you believe that was just rhetoric?
I mean, so far, we've seen a lot of words, but it's time to see some actions, because every day we see rhetoric, we hear words, but no action. Innocent people are dying in Ukraine. And you see that Putin is escalating. You see what's happened today. They attacked Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The power plant was without electricity for extended period of time. you see what's happening at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. That plant is running on emergency diesel generators for like 7 days already. They have about 10 days left worth of fuel. So Putin is escalating this war, and he wants to turn this into a mass nuclear disaster. So right now, there's no time for words no more, because we're already 3.5+ years behind the ball. So it's time to act. So European leaders, US, they all have to come together and figure out the plan how they can stop. Because honestly, I believe we have until like February 2026 before this full-scale war can spill into the NATO nations. I'm talking about full-scale war, not just some provocations that we see right now.
Your group does so much great work in terms of helping civilians in need in Ukraine. It's been 3.5 years of war. So many dead, so many injured, many of them civilians. How are they coping?
I mean, it's very dangerous right now to do humanitarian work in Ukraine. I mean, our teams on the ground is mostly volunteers. Like, we do a lot of work in Kherson region. I mean, back 2 years ago, you could drive van of 8 there without much problem. Now we need to have the whole preparation with people who can scope out the route, who can see to make sure there's no drones. So it's very dangerous. So it's a lot of pressure that's hanging over Ukraine right now, because they really don't know how long they can stand unless there is serious support provided from NATO nations, from United States, because Putin, obviously, he's not stopping. He doesn't want to stop. He wants to go past Ukraine and control entire Europe. That's his entire plan. And he's going to do it unless he stops, because he has no feelings. You cannot talk him into being good. The only way he understands it is a strength. And that's what Europe and NATO nations need to project right now if they want to stop this madness in Ukraine.
Yuriy Boyechko of Hope for Ukraine, thanks so much for joining and for the work that you do.
Thank you.